Hey, Dub Nation breaking from the Bay. Golden State just moved from nice opener to title math. I'm here in the front office is lining up a finals-proven connector switchable on defense. Ruthless as a cutter, clean in the short roll, the exact piece that keeps our offense humming when Steph catches a breather. This isn't a billboard move. It's a May move. You're on Warriors News Fan Report Lock-In with me, because I'm about to walk you through the rotations from opening night, the cap levers that actually matter under the new rules, and the film notes that point, line by line, to one name that fits the identity of this team like it was drawn into the playbook years ago, and only now became available at the right price. I'll hold the name for a beat, because the why is the story, and once you see the why, the who writes itself. Opening night in Los Angeles was the first page, 119 to 109 on the road. Third quarter control, and a version of Warriors basketball that carried the old heartbeat while adding a new voice. Jimmy Butler set the tone with 31 and a veteran calm that kills runs before they start. Stephen Curry tilted gravity with 23 and 4 slick dimes even without the flamethrower fully warmed. Jonathan Kuminga gave me the kind of all-around line 17 points, 9 boards, 6 assists that proves development isn't a quote. It's a habit. That game wasn't about one hot hand. It was about sequencing. Our movement sharpened once we started screening like we meant to score on the slip, not just run the action. Weak side cuts arrived on time like a metronome. Draymond kept curating angles as if the half-court belonged to him by deed. I watched possessions where the Lakers had to choose between face guarding Steph 30 feet from the rim or conceding a catch on the elbow to a playmaker who already knew where the second defender came from. That's curveball when it breathes. But a seam revealed itself nothing dramatic, just the kind of seam that shows up in October, gets ignored in January, and becomes the headline in May if you don't stitch it. It's the stretch when Steph sits and the offense needs a grown-up guard forward who turns split action into layups without hijacking the set. It's the overlap when bigger scoring guards start probing the nail and you need a chest-strong defender who doesn't foul the air, who can absorb contact, switch, recover, and still be a threat going the other way without demanding 12 dribbles. It's those 9 minutes per half where you don't need a star. You need a connector who makes the right 8 plays no one tweets about. And yet the national machine does what it always does after a Warriors win, throws a star for star into the conversation. The Take Show circuit wanted a moonshot. The idea floating around was to flip big names and a pile of firsts for an even bigger name, the kind of move that lights up the lower ticker and sells merch overnight. But that's not how championships are built with this core. The Bucks aren't exactly opening a garage sale for their franchise pillar, and even if they were, the math under the current apron penalties punishes the exact kind of aggregation people yell about on TV. Meanwhile, Golden State is signaling commitment to the present identity Curry, Butler, Draymond leading, and if there's a trade chip near the deadline, it's likelier to be channeled into depth and lineup cleanliness than sacrifice for a poster. Kuminga's growth gives them options, not desperation. The smarter path is to keep the organism healthy and add an organ, not swap the brain. So let's talk organism needs. Kerr's structure is a half-second religion. Catch, see, decide. The offense sings when the screener sets the thesis, slips at the perfect angle, catches on the move, and hits the next pass as if it were a layup. The gears lock when you put a player on the floor who lives in that world. Minimal dribble, maximal pressure, screenings that bruise, cuts that punish ball watching. Short rows that force third defenders to commit sins. And defensively, you want someone who treats a handoff like a pickpocket opportunity, who navigates off-ball screens without turning his head, who's switchable across 3 spots with real contact balance, not just wingspan on a spreadsheet. That's the blueprint. Now, catalog the league for players who already proved they can matter in June without the ball. Who can be your second or third handler? Who don't panic when the paint crowds? Who make cool reads when the crowd starts yelling? And who check out fine under the tax microscope? Not a long list. You'll find a few names that make sense, and then one that screams fit. Before I say it, context. Toronto is organizing around Scotty Barnes, young creation, and flexible timelines. They want to keep optionality. They won't dump value. They also won't hand out sentimental extensions to veterans just to be pretty good. If they pivot on a vet, it will be because the return either accelerates their clock or gives them clean books for the next move. And the contract in question lives right in that sweet spot, meaningful enough to match real money, short enough to function as a pressure valve for both sides, and perfectly sized to get a deal done without 6 other teams needing to hold hands. Now I'll put the name on it, Bruce Brown. I'm saying it plain because the film says it for me. Brown is a playoff-grade connector with a ring. On his resume from doing the exact grimy things our offense asks of its non-stars. He screen assists for shooters like he's trying to knock over a door. He dives from the slot at the precise second defenders turn their heads. He short rolls with 2 dribbles or fewer and turns 3-on-2 seconds into easy points. He doesn't crowd Steph's space. He multiplies it. On defense, he's chesty at the point of attack, violent with his hands without getting whistle-happy, able to guard up a position when matchups force it, and down a position when speed is the test. Find me a possession in May where the game hinges on a second side cut, a kick-out, and a scramble, and tell me you don't want Brown on floor making the invisible decisions. Put him in our split action with Steph scissoring out, Butler threatening the elbow catch, and Draymond holding the ball like a conductor. Watch the weak side tagger freeze because Brown is ghost screening into a dive. Watch the low man hesitate because Brown is as happy to screen the screener as he is to finish at the cup. Watch Steph walk into a catch-and-shoot 3 because Brown's screen turned a switch into a surrender. That's how you win subtle possessions, the boring ones that stack into road wins. The cap side is not a footnote. It's the first line of modern roster building. Living in and around the aprons means you can't take back more money than you send. You can't play costume jewelry with exceptions. You can't aggregate your way to a star as easily. And you need each outgoing contract to make mathematical and basketball sense. Brown's number sits in that mid-tier band that lets you construct a deal around a single meaningful outgoing salary, rather than a messy stack that dies in legal review. And because his money isn't fake, he actually plays to it. The acquisition doesn't feel like buying a puzzle piece that doesn't fit your box. For Toronto, there's logic too. If they ask for picks, they're not charity. They're leverage. If they ask for a young player, it's because he fits their timeline, not because they want to brag about a haul on a graphic. They won't rush. Leverage is a calendar. For the Warriors, the conversation is simpler. Bankable playoff utility that shores up the precise seam we saw on opening night can justify a reasonable cost, especially if it stabilizes the 9 to 12 bench minutes that tend to swing entire series when rotations shrink. What does it look like on the floor? Start with the Curry minutes. Brown as the screener in 21 action. Steph gives it up, sprints into a handoff. Brown ghosts or flips the angle, and the defense miscommunicates because it's reading 2 languages at once. Now swap. Butler at the nail, Steph orbiting, Draymond on the slot. Brown pins in on the weak side to free a corner shooter, then slips to the dunker spot to turn any miss into free throws or a kick out for 3. When Steph sits, the offense doesn't fall into ISO breathlessness. Brown turns the second unit into a movement lab. He loves to give and go with bigs. He'll run delay with Draymond without turning it into a dribble exhibition, and his willingness to set brutal screens for guards makes your young shooters look like veterans. Defensively, he simplifies your coverage menu. You can switch 1 to 3 without blinking. You can weak a right-hand driver into a crowd because Brown will take the outside hip and trust the help. You can stay out of rotation purgatory because Brown doesn't open his stance and invite middle penetration. He squares, he absorbs, he peels, and he contests late without fouling. In closing time, imagine a 5 of Curry, Brown, Butler, Kuminga, Draymond against a wing-heavy opponent. You're fast enough to chase movement and strong enough to withstand bully ball. And you've got 4 credible screeners around. Steph to create threes without needing to spam high pick and rolls that bog you down. There's also the personality fit. Brown isn't auditioning for headlines. He's doing math. He plays with veteran seriousness that matches Butler's tone, and he respects the economy of Kerr's offense. No wasted touches, no vanity dribbles, no face-up monologues with 14 on the clock. When you build around Steph's gravity and Draymond's orchestration, you want partners who see the same water. Brown swims in it. Risk lives in every move. Brown's three-point percentage can swing year to year, and if a defense dares him to hit volume corner threes, you need him hovering around league average to punish that bet. He's a combat guard more than a classic wing. Against a jumbo scorer with 6 inches on him, you still need your help principles buttoned up. And price matters. If the market gets silly because 3 other teams try to outbid each other with unprotected picks that ruin a tax sheet, you bow out and trust the internal curve. But the upside is crisp. You get a possession winner with playoff proof of concept. You clean up non-Steph minutes without mortgaging your future. And you protect your closing lineup versatility against the exact style that tends to end seasons in the West Switchy. Rangy, low-mistake units that make you win ugly. I can already hear the counter-arguments. Why not chase the shinier wing? Because availability and fit aren't the same word, and the apron turns shiny into expensive long before you get to press conference day. Why not stand pat? Because October made clear that the seam exists, and while you can survive a seam in February, you rarely survive it in late May. Why not go bigger at center? Because this offense and this defense wins when it plays in 0.5 seconds. And adding a pure rim-only big who can't make the short roll read risks slowing the entire organism. Brown is the middle path that isn't passive. It's precise. Let me layer in the reality of the timeline. Deadlines create prices. As the season breeze and young players carve out roles, Toronto's leverage may rise or fall based on their table position and Barnes usage curve. If they're patrolling the middle and want to weaponize flexibility for the summer, a veteran on mid-tier money with portable skills will always be a phone call away from contenders. For Golden State, there's no panic openers like the one in LA, buy you time to evaluate, but there's also no illusion. The West is shaped by 2 kinds of games. The ones you avalanche with Steph's gravity and the ones you eke out by stealing 3 possessions with defense, cutting, and second-side discipline. Brown helps in the second kind without costing the first. I also want to put this where everyone can see it. This is not about making Jimmy Butler redundant. It's the opposite. Butler's game ages like a clinic. Pairing him with another possession adult turns him from your bailout into your fulcrum, reduces his foul line burden over 82, and keeps his legs for the games where you need the low box artistry in tight fourth quarters. Draymond benefits too. Brown's screening and short rolls mean Draymond can toggle between conductor and cutter without feeling like the only adult in every half-court action. Kuminga benefits most. Brown's presence nudges him into more lineups where his athleticism is maximized as a finisher and driver, not a force creator at 12 on the clock. And Steph, well, Steph is the sun. Brown simply adds planets that know how to orbit. I want to be transparent with you. I don't throw out names just to build suspense. I'm building a case. The film from that 119 to 109 says we're close, closer than a lot of noise merchants want to admit. The system is intact. The leadership triangle is intact. The young pieces are graduating. What's missing is not a headline. It's a hinge. Bruce Brown is a hinge. He turns tight games in your favor without demanding oxygen. If you're new here and you live for this kind of inside the rotation talk, do me a favor, tap subscribe. Hit the like so this reaches every Warriors fan who watches film after midnight. And keep notifications on so you don't miss the next deep dive on matchups, cap threads, and the little details that win playoff rounds. Back to it. Does the deal happen tomorrow? No. Front offices wait for prices to settle in calendars to pressure the room. Does it happen? Never? Also, no, because every good team is making this exact phone call. The only question is which offer gives Toronto the blend of future value and present flexibility that aligns with their arc. Could a bidding war push the ask into walk-away territory? Absolutely. In that case, the Warriors will pivot to the archetype rather than the name. But if the number is sensible, the fit is almost comically clean. And if you ask me, watching Kerr's body language, charting the bench units, tracking how the third quarter sang when we stacked screening actions, I can't shake the feeling that this is the exact kind of move the front office has been window shopping for since August. Brown's resume is built for May. His ego is calibrated for a room with Curry and Butler. His motor fills the empty possessions that usually become regret. I'll close with the simplest version. The version I'd pitch in a hallway if I had 30 seconds. Brown gives you a plus defender who can take on guards in smaller wings. A willing screener who unlocks Steph without pounding the rock. A short roll decision maker who turns rotations into layups. And a playoff-tempered mind that doesn't blink in loud buildings. He's not here to be the headline. He's here to deliver the small print that wins you Game 4 on the road. That's how banners get made, with stars shining and connectors connecting. I've laid out the case. Now I want your read. If the price is a reasonable pick and a movable contract, do you greenlight Bruce Brown to the Bay, or do you keep your powder dry and bet on internal rhythm? Would you rather spend assets on a bigger body, or do you trust what the film told us in LA that what we need isn't louder, it's cleaner? Drop your take below. Keep it sharp, keep it honest, and tell me the lineup you close with if Brown wears blue and gold. If you value direct, professional breakdowns like this with zero fluff and film-first logic, stick with me here on Warriors News Fan Report and share this with a friend who rewinds third quarters like a detective. I'll be back with more inside reads and real-time cap logic as the season unfolds. Until then, breathe easy. Dub Nation, this team just found its path from October promise to May purpose. And the connector I've been hinting at would make that path a whole lot smoother.